In this short video, we're going to show you how to work with nested entities. We're going to show you how to nest few entities and have them inherit the actions or behaviors of the parent entities. And we're also going to show you how to select a child or nested entities. So let's get started. I'm primarily going to be looking at what is walked through or shown in this particular tutorial, nesting entities using a solar system. I'm not going to go through every single step, and I'm going to do it a little bit more quickly and not as specifically to what you see here, but we'll get the general idea. And so we're actually not going to be adding textures and things like that. However, this is the tutorial we're going to be using as an example. All right, so I'm going to jump over to Sumerian, and let's create a new scene. And we'll just call it nesting. This will create a new scene for us. And now that I am here in my editor, let's make a few things. As in that tutorial shows, you are creating a sun, an earth, and a moon. And each one is going to be nested under the one above it, and each inheriting the behavior that is on top of for the child entity or the parent entity above it. So let's see how we do that. I'm just going to create entity, and we'll make it just a sphere, and we'll change the name. We'll click this top tab up here. This is our the details component of the entity, and it's just called sphere. We'll call it sun. And in the tutorial, the written tutorial, it has you add a texture to it. I'm just going to make it yellow. And I'm also going to make it the transform to uniform scale. We'll make it 3. All right. I'll then create another entity. Another sphere entity, I should say. Oops. We want to take just the sphere and move it over here. Make it 8 off-centered, something like that. And we're going to rename this sphere and call it Earth. And we will make it blue. All right. And then we're going to create an entity again. We'll add one more sphere. In this sphere, we will move about there. And this Earth, I meant to make 2. Actually, let's keep moving it just a bit further out. In this last sphere, I'm going to call Moon. There we go. Let's get it a little bit closer. Okay, so you see we have our sun, our earth, and our moon. Now, because they are not nested under one another, you see how when I select them, it selects that immediate entity. But let's see what happens when I start nesting these entities within one another. So let's take the earth. We'll make the sun our top parent entity. When I drag the earth and drop it onto the sun, you see now we have an earth that is nested under the sun entity, and it is a child entity of the sun. The moon is still separate, but now I'll take the moon and I'll drag it onto the earth. So you see, then we have 3 levels. We have the sun, the earth, and the moon. Now let's, according to the tutorial, or if you're following the tutorial, we'll add a component onto the sun. This will help you understand how entities inherit the behaviors of especially the transform behaviors of its parent entity. So I'll select state machine, we'll add a new behavior, and we'll call it rotate behavior. And the selected state, we'll call it rotate, and we'll add action. We'll look for rotate. And we're just going to make this 20 degrees around the y-axis, and we're going to leave relative and on every frame checked. Okay, so let's see how this works. Okay, it's kind of hard to see because it's just a smooth sphere. You can kind of see it rotating here. And then you can, of course, see because the Earth and the Moon are each relative to or nested underneath the Sun, and because they're relative to the Sun, they're both rotating as well. So anything that is attached to an entity as it moves will also move. Okay, so that's good. But you see how the Moon is not yet rotating around the Earth. So now we select the Earth. We'll add component in state machine. And I'll find my rotate behavior here down in the assets panel. Instead of starting a new one from scratch, I'm just going to reuse this same behavior and drop it on the drop behavior input under the state machine that is attached to the Earth. And now you'll see, when I press play, that the Moon is rotating around the Earth while the Earth is rotating around the Sun. Okay, great. And that is how nesting entities works, by dragging and dropping them on one another, and how they inherit the behaviors of the parent entity. One more thing to note is in the title of this video is how do you select child entities. This is an important one. Right now, if I select the Moon or the Earth, you see how it automatically defaults to the Sun. So I have all of them selected. Well, if I want to dig down and say I have a list of a bunch of entities and I want to select this one entity, but I don't know where it falls, or I don't know what it's called even necessarily in the hierarchy of entities over here, I can just keep selecting. And if I double select it, then it moves one level down to the Earth. And if I double click it again, it moves down to that specific entity level of the Moon. So you see again, if I select the Sun, and if I really want to dig down into the Moon, I double click. It moves one level down, and if I double click again, you see how it goes one further. And that is how you select child or nested entities, and also how you nest entities, and then also inherit behaviors from one parent entity to the child entities. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.